Hello everyone. Enterprises have been adopting cloud for applications for quite some time. App migrations bring in significant cost and scale advantages while minimizing the operational hassles.
So when the applications are moving to cloud, it is also necessary to plan for migrating the data as well from data centers to cloud. Google offers different data solutions, but we are going to see in this video uh, just limited to BigQuery. Okay, BigQuery is one of the destinations that we could think of right now. We have PubSub, we can also trigger certain things like functions, or we can take it to data store and things like that. But today we will limit to just BigQuery. Data ingestion has many approaches, and this demo is to focus on one such approach. It's called pipeline, and we will use an open source tool called StreamSets for building the pipeline. StreamSets has got a couple of solutions, and this one is called a data collector. There are other data pipeline tools also available in the market that are pretty much similar to what we are seeing today. The focus is not just StreamSets, but in general, how do we for this video, I'm using a very small setup cloud using in my laptop. A Postgres database having a public data set, a StreamSets data collector, a web application. Both are running locally in my machine. I've also set up a BigQuery data set and the table on the Google Cloud that would receive the incoming data. My local setup is running on Kubernetes, but that's not the focus for now. That is just for the demo purpose. We'll discuss Kubernetes in detail maybe in the future.
Okay, let's start with stream sets. So I'm going to create a new pipeline. Let's give some name and description for the pipeline. So the idea is not to explain what is stream sets and how does it work and things like that. It is just a pipeline tool. So any pipeline will have origins, destinations, and intermediate processes and things like that. So, but for our pipeline, we are going to have just two stages. One is the origin, which is a JDBC one, and the second one is the destination. For the JDBC, we are going to use Postgres. We discussed that already, and we are going to take the host name of the PostgreSQL, which is running in Kubernetes right now. So the host name is actually provided by the service. So we use the service name here to configure the JDBC URL.
We need to do a couple of more configurations. One is the table name. The second one is the based on which field the tool will identify that there is some change. So usually we go by the primary key, which in our case it is called ID. So we will use the ID field for keeping the offset information and things like that. So whenever there is a new insert, then the ID will change and it will update BigQuery as well. But the disadvantage is that if there is any update to a particular row, then it will not update the destination. So even though it is CDC, CDC is like whenever there is a change in the data, then it will be synchronized with the end of the pipeline. We will see that as well later. So currently we have just configured the source, which is Postgres. The database is connected and is able to, and we can see whether it is able to retrieve the data and all using the preview. The second one, what we are configuring now is the BigQuery. So I have already created a service account for connecting to BigQuery. That is what will go into the credentials. Otherwise, we need to just configure the project name and the service account JSON file name. Um, so we enter some meaningful name for the stage, and then we have started entering the details of the BigQuery. What will be the name of the data set, what would be the table information, and things like that. So now I have already mapped a volume for the service account, and that is what I am entering here, /service account. Okay, so our basic configuration is complete. There is something wrong still. Okay, so we need to configure where the error records would go in case of any challenges. So here we need to configure that as well, and this is a very standard way of doing it. Like again, in Google Cloud, you can direct all the error records to a particular cloud storage, and that is what precisely we are trying to do here with the same service account what we created for BigQuery. So once this configuration is complete, we can go ahead and start first verifying whether our configuration is correct. Once the validation is successful, we can also do some preview if you want. We have already created the offset, to take it from very few records basically. So it would push only very few records to the data set. Let us also see the data set right now. How is it configured and whether we have any data in it or not. So I'm moving to the project where I've created the BigQuery. Okay, I think the IAM details are intact. So let us go to BigQuery directly. Right, so I've created one data set called commerce, and within commerce we have a table called the city. Now this is the structure, we already saw that. Now let us, if there is any other existing rows, we want to delete that. So first let us see whether there are any records. Hopefully there was a couple of times I tried to insert data, but anyway we'll clear that first. We need to use the proper prefix. The data set name is key. Okay, let me type this from the beginning. Our easiest one is delete the table and recreate it. Okay, so that this will be fresh anyway. Let me create the table. There are only 4 or 5 fields. All right. So first the table name, and we'll start with the field names. Obviously, ID is the first field with integer type, and which should be a required field. And we have name, which is a string, and we have a few more fields. Let's refer to that. We can do this using preview. Preview will tell you what are the keys that are going to come from each stage. So it will tell you the output of stage 1, which will be the input of stage 2, and you can refer to that and create the table based on that. Finally, the population field, which is more like an integer, and with that we are done. So let's create the table. So table is created. Now let's go back and we are going to run this for the first time. Come out of preview field, and so this is my table name, also city. I am going to run this now. Okay, so it has got some nice dashboard as well, like how many records got processed, how many were input, what was the throughput, and so many other information statistics. Now let us see the data in this table. Obviously there was no data at all earlier. Now I am first seeing the count just to make sure that it is matching with what we came out with in the earlier session. Once it is matching, we can also see the actual rows. So if you can see now all the city names and all the information, right? So that's about it. Thanks for watching my demo.